It's just this idea of we cling really tightly to our stuff, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to let go because we all have a sense that we need to control things. And you will always get signs. Like you always get opportunities to just like, hey, maybe you should look at this. The thing I'm looking for, I could have now. I don't need the relationship. I don't need the money. I don't need the success. I don't need the affirmation from the world. And what I'm looking for within all of that is that feeling of love. That's the lie. The lie is that there is a void. So you will never find something to fill a hole that isn't there. What you're looking for in everything you do in the world is available with one surrendered breath.
Hi guys, on today's episode I have Vince Dickson. Vince is a breathwork and performance coach based in New York, and if I'm honest, we went much deeper than I ever expected. Vince was incredible to talk to, and he talked us through his journey of where he started to where he is now, and taught us all about how breathwork can really change your life. We talked about how to incorporate it in the in-between moments of your day-to-day, and the mindset that's required to really reach our highest potential. I loved talking to Vince, and I think you're really going to enjoy this one. Vince Dickson, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. You
Thanks
got my
for
name
being
right.
here. Do people not?
I get Dickson quite a lot.
Oh, okay.
I think it's almost too simple for some people, so they add a lot.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah.
That's funny. So can you tell us a little bit about, for anyone who's unfamiliar with you, what kind of work you do?
So I call what I do performance coaching.
Okay.
But really what it is I work with people who are in some sense stuck, which luckily is everyone.
I was going to say, does anyone not fall into that category at some point in their life?
No, they don't. Everyone at some point. I work into kind of big brackets, I suppose. The one is really performance-based. It's entrepreneurs and performers and people who are really looking for more performance in whatever sense. That might be actual physical performance on the stage or athletes or something like that. And then I work with people who are in some sort of critical situation in life, like often relationship, divorce, that sort of stuff, or businesses kind of failing. I have clients who have partner issue, founders who have issues with kind of co-founders, things like that. So a point where they're just really stuck in it and kind of can't find a way out. And it's obviously their internal experience. Obviously relationships are a huge one because for a lot of people, they don't look at their shit until
it's falling apart.
Till it's falling apart.
Yep.
But those two buckets kind of on the surface are fairly different in terms of one is people who are got everything together and are looking kind of another level of performance, and the other one is people who feel like that everything's falling apart.
Right.
But ultimately it comes back to the same place of we're all stuck in some sort of narrative.
Okay.
That leads to this sense of stuckness, of limitation. And more people are coming to me who they aren't necessarily critically stuck. It isn't a divorce or business or grief or anything like that. It's more just like, I know I'm capable of more. I feel stuck, but I don't know what it is. And it's almost like a general sense of sort of being limited in some form or a lack of purpose. And it all goes back to the same thing. We're stuck in some sort of limiting stories. And the problem is for most of us, we don't even know that.
Right.
We don't know what the story is.
Right.
For a lot of people, we don't even know we are stuck in a story. It's just, well, that's reality.
Right.
And the compensation for most of us is we just grind a little bit harder.
Yep.
So we kind of working with what we have and we just put more energy into it, which then obviously leads to burnout, which leads to relationships imploding, which leads to businesses imploding, which leads to founders. Obviously, you can probably attest to this. You can push yourself to the edge. There's always more to do.
For sure.
And there's a lot of identity tied up in it. So there's all the existential stuff. There's a lot of layers to it. So yeah, long way of saying I work to get people unstuck.
I love that.
And I think whether it's physical performance in the world or whether it's actually just being happier, it ultimately leads to looking at what's keeping you stuck and why you feel like you can't be happy with what you have and where you're at.
Yeah.
Which is really where the juice is.
I love that. And we were talking a little bit before this, you started with breathwork, right? And then it kind of evolved into this performance coaching?
My journey was I was pretty not going to say A-type, but definitely kind of striving my whole life. I definitely had the sense of like I was trying to build stuff. I was involved with a lot of startups. I was always trying to do something. I always felt like I needed to prove myself in some sense.
Where are you from?
South Africa.
Got it.
From Cape Town.
You're from Cape Town. Okay.
Been in New York 13 years, so it's been a while.
Okay. Because I was going to ask, do you find, I'm not derailing your story.
No.
Do you find that mindset is very American, or are people dealing with that all over the world? Like that, like grind till I make it.
That mindset. I think everyone's dealing with it. I think.
Okay.
I mean, probably America has more of an element of that. There's very much a sort of you're a unique, special individual, and everyone's got the ability to make it here. Mm-hmm. There's definitely parts of the world that there's more peace with where you're at.
Yeah.
And obviously, the kind of cliche is the Europeans live life as opposed, whereas in the US definitely the mindset is around getting the biggest, most famous, most powerful you can. So it probably is skewed a bit, but that probably is quite generalized. I think the whole world, definitely the whole Western world, deals with it because the internet and social media we're all seeing the same stuff now, and we're all comparing to the same people.
It's so true.
And so it's sort of leveled that what we all aspire to in a way, I think.
Yeah. No, that is so true. I mean, we have now, there's so much crossover even with celebrities, right? And just, these big influencers that we see online, like, you know, kids today probably know so much more about life, even in Europe and in Asia, than we did when we were younger, right?
I mean, even things like podcasts have become such a...
True.
Like, in the world you're in, just health information. Like, you'll have... Someone will quote a stat to me in New York, and then I'll go home to Cape Town, and someone will quote the same stat to me. And it's because they both listen to like the same episode of
they both listen to
or like you know, it's like the big things that go viral, they just go everywhere now, so everyone's feeding off the same information, which this is now we're off tangent a bit, but it obviously leads to a lot of misinformation as well in that world, because everyone's getting the wrong stat. If there's enough volume around it, then everyone believes that, and then that becomes a fact, and then...
Totally.
Yeah.
So you were involved in multiple startups.
Yeah, I've since kind of university, I spent a lot of time trying to build something, and I think didn't realize that I had this underlying anxiety the whole time.
Yep.
I came across as fairly chill, and I think anyone would say that about me.
Yeah.
And people did say it about me, so that's what I was like. Yeah, I'm very laid back, but actually I was sort of, it's like the duck, you know, on the surface but underneath it's just constant flapping.
I identify with that so much. People tell me all the time, like, you're always just so chill and calm. I'm like, I'm glad that that's what you see, but that is not what's
so
happening. Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of us do these days, but basically the sort of long story is I ended up in a relationship. We were engaged. We were together for a long time, and then it imploded, and largely because I just wasn't listening. I was just so dead set on trying to build something and prove myself and all this sort of stuff. So that ended, and I kind of thought I had all these systems. I've always been interested in self-development or whatever, right? So I had I bought all the books and whatever bestseller that week, whatever theory was going on that week, or whatever author was...
Whatever the let them of the month was.
Exactly, yeah. So I kind of almost thought I had it all together and I knew it all, and I would sort of tell everyone else how they should be doing it. And like, no, but if you just knew this and you should try this. And then when the world crumbled around me, none of that stood up. It just, everything shattered. And I was just, nothing I knew or none of these theories actually made a difference. I was just, I was in a bad hole.
Really?
Yeah, it really shattered me. And sent me on this sort of journey, I suppose, just because I had no choice.
Yeah.
I was very depressed. I just, everything, my whole life kind of crumbled because so much was tied around the relationship. We were building a business together. That was kind of struggling with that and trying to figure it out. And we had some success with it, but I just couldn't quite get it to click.
And was it a surprise to you that the relationship ended?
It shouldn't have been.
Okay.
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
It had to end.
Yeah.
Because I just, as I said, I wasn't listening. I spent a long time beating myself up about this.
Okay.
I think I learned eventually to allow it. I just could not see it any other way at the time. I was so scared of kind of things falling apart or not being good enough, or, all these insecurities we have, that I just wasn't able to listen. And in my head, I was thinking, like, just as soon as I get this business we started, as soon as that all clicks, and everything will be good, and we'll have some more space, and we can kind of deal with some of these other things in the relationship that maybe are feeling a bit rough. Because I was so sure that this was the relationship, so I just couldn't comprehend us not being together, that I didn't really acknowledge that it requires a bit of work.
Yeah.
And in my head, I thought, if I just get everything to click, if I get all the external circumstances right, then we'll have space and time, and everything kind of in the relationship or internally will feel good. I'll be able to relax, and it'll all be good, which is just obviously a bit ridiculous, because the relationship's dying in the background. But at the time, I just couldn't see it any differently. So it ended sort of in a shocking way, but also really shouldn't have been, which is part of the problem. And it just knocked me. For months, I could not do anything. I mean, I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. It was really just the classic kind of heartbreak, depressive. And through that process, I realized pretty quickly that this wasn't just the relationship, that it was, obviously, I had stuff that needed looking at. And this was almost like a chance, or not even a chance, this was just the crack that it was now able to come up, that I was so good at keeping it squashed and not even looking at it.
So it kind of cracked you open. Yeah,
in a huge way.
Okay.
And you're just so vulnerable in that state. And I work with a lot of people now who are in similar states.
Right.
And I often have these conversations. We'll have an intro call, and they'll sort of come on, and they'll be very fresh, and I can hear it because I've been there. And it's just all the stories and this, and the world's over, and I'll never love again, and I don't know what to do, and I almost I sort of smile, because I can just see I know how much potential is in that now. I know how much that is such a powerful place if you're able to let it kind of do what it needs to do. But that doesn't take away of how shit it is, how much suffering there is in that experience.
No, I'm having a flashback of I remember in my first apartment in New York, going through this breakup, and just laying on the tile floor, in the living room, and my roommate coming home and being like, "What's wrong?" Yeah. And I was like, "I am just never going to be okay." Yeah. And obviously, you pull yourself out of it, but it ends up being, for me at least, it was one of the best things that ever happened for me. But
it generally is.
Yeah.
There's a reason. I mean, it's part of what I coach people with now, is it only hits us that hard because it's stuff we haven't looked at when times were easier. Life had to take you down. Yeah. I have this framework I teach called sort of tap baseball bat.
Okay.
And it's just this idea of we cling really tightly to our stuff, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to let go, because we all have a sense that we need to control things. And you will always get signs. You always get opportunities to just hey, maybe you should look at this, and maybe the relationship will be a bit sticky, or communication isn't great, or whatever it is. But you don't, because it's deep-seated stuff, and it's painful, and most of us don't even know it's there. It's just sort of something's not quite right. And then you'll get a few taps. And if you don't listen to those taps, they'll get progressively louder until you eventually get a baseball bat to the side of the head.
Yeah.
And that's when you're lying on the tiled floor, and you're screaming at your head for it to shut up and stop torturing you. And but then you have to look at it, because you're in so much suffering that now looking at that is the only way out.
Right.
And in that, it's a gift. It just doesn't feel like it. You can't persuade anyone in that situation that this is truly a gift. But I think in my situation, I did realize immediately, sort of day one, that there's a gift in this. There's stuff here that now needs to get looked at.
And so you dissolved the business that you were building together?
Not quite. It's still going, but obviously that ending the relationship, it just took a big knock, and so it's sort of it's definitely a shadow of what it was.
Okay.
So that process, I suppose, I sat with it for a long time. I was probably 6 months of in tears every day, and just grasping and doing all the classic heartbreak stuff of trying to get back. And because it's you're a heroin addict, right? You're a drug addict. You need that comfort.
That fix.
And I wasn't getting it, and I had to look at my stuff, and I had to start examining of why I needed this so badly and what within me felt so kind of guilty about it and where the rumination was coming from. And then I had these, I suppose, just because I was sitting with it so much, and I really couldn't do anything else. I had these real kind of breakthrough moments.
Okay.
Of just like really life-changing realizations.
Okay. And were you working with a practitioner that was like kind of helping guide you?
Yeah, I started doing therapy for the first time in my life.
Okay.
So that was sort of helpful at the time. I think it was helpful at the time as much just to have like a caring person to listen to my shit.
Totally.
And actually I'm very lucky. One of the greatest things to come out of that was just a reminder of what incredible friendships I have. Because I had friends that for months I would phone them, like the same friends. I would just have this roster of and I would phone the same friends, and I just for an hour I'd be on the call to one, and then I'd hang up and I'd call the next one. And my sister, she got a phone call every day, and I would just go through this loop. And they've heard, and for months they just listened to me sprout the same stuff and the same heartbreak and the same. You can't hear anything now. I mean, you can't hear anything in that state. You get the advice, and they all can. People from a different perspective can sort of smile at you, but they just listened, and I got to just say this shit, and no one ever judged, and no one ever pushed me, and I think that was such a great gift.
You have good people.
Yeah, it was a huge thing to come out of that. So part of it was just incredible friendships, and I had friends that I'm very lucky to have been through certain situations like that were able to hold space, but really there was nothing that like a set process I went through. It was a lot of different things. And it sort of led to this moment where I had this real breakthrough epiphany. And that's what shifted the course of my life and got me to where I am today.
So you had that breakthrough in therapy?
No, it wasn't in therapy. I went on this retreat weekend, and it was during that weekend, it would sort of, and it took a while for me to sit with what that meant.
Okay.
But part of what I really realized so much, and this is really my work now, is all of our suffering, all of our stuckness, it's all in our heads. It's all thinking, right? We know that. That's like, it is all our thoughts. Now it's easy to say, it's another thing to okay, so what does that mean? My realization was two things. I think I realized that really everything I was looking for, and this is really the foundation of my work now, everything I was looking for, everything we're all looking for, all the suffering, all the stuff in the heartbreak, all the craving for the relationship, I was looking for the sense of safety, for love.
Right.
I was trying to find love in whatever sense.
Right.
And I had this moment of such clarity where I realized that what we do as human beings is we're trying to kind of get to this magical moment in the future, whether it's the partner or the fame or the power or the money or whatever it is, or this moment. For most of us, it's some version of you're sitting in this beautiful house with your partner and the kids are running around and the dog's there and the sun's coming through the window, and and you just feel everything's perfect, right? Like money isn't a worry, and just you're sitting there, and I think the realization for me is what the feeling in that moment was, this experience of love. And it was an experience of you didn't need anything to change. This moment was perfect. And what I realized was that was available without all the stuff. So you could just experience that.
Right.
And in fact, actually, you can only experience that separate to the stuff.
Right.
Because as long as you rely on the circumstances, as long as you rely on sort of the external environment or the things or the partner, you're always kind of gambling a bit, because you're relying on the world being exactly how you need it to be. Which, this isn't new stuff. This is sort of Buddhism 101. This is principle one of like life is suffering. It's detachment is the only way you can find peace. And that just really hit me of like, the thing I'm looking for, I could have now. I don't need the relationship. I don't need the money. I don't need the success. I don't need the affirmation from the world. And what I'm looking for within all of that is that feeling of love, of being at peace, of not needing this moment to be different than what it is. And then very shortly afterwards, the realization was that was only available once my mind slowed down. And that's where breathwork came into it. This is a really long way of getting there. But,
No, I'm so glad you told this story though.
because I had this sort of epiphany. I mean, it was a full kind of awakening moment. Like it shifted the entire way I saw the world. I did really shifted how I viewed myself, how I viewed reality, how I viewed what I was doing with my life. But then kind of once that landed and I sort of was like, okay, that's great. I still feel like shit. All my problems are still there. And then I had this realization of it's the mind where all the problems are. So actually the solution is you can't solve it by thinking your way out of it. You actually need to come back to your body.
Right.
And stuff is still there. That doesn't take away from the fact that we all need money and you all want to be in a relationship, you want to live amazing lives.
Right.
It's just the most powerful way to do that is from a sense of presence, from a sense of power in this moment, not from living in the future and the past, which is what I definitely did.
Right.
And what most of us do is we're anxious about the future, we're trying to find this magical moment, or we're ruminating on the past or what we should have done or what we could do, and we're constantly trying to kind of solve that loop. And I had this sort of moment. I was walking around the block. I mean, this is a story I've told before, where I had this sort of epiphany about love, of just love being the essence of everything. It was the thing I was searching for. It was that simple. It really was that simple. And I was walking around the block, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna. This is early in the morning. I was staying with a friend in California. It was like a beautiful morning, and I was walking around the block. I'm like, I'm gonna be grateful, love. I'm gonna love everything. It's gonna be good. And I was doing the gratitude stuff, gratitude journal, and you write it all down. And I was trying to kind of convince myself that I was grateful for this, and I'm grateful for this, and I'm grateful. But all the anxiety was still there, and all the stuff was still there. And eventually I just gave up. I was like, fuck, I'm not fucking grateful this morning. Like I can't convince myself otherwise.
Yeah.
And it was such a profound, simple thing. I honestly, as I did that, I was walking along and I looked up and there was this bird in a tree just in front of me. The sun was coming in, and it sounds so cheesy when I say the story, but it was so profound in the moment. And this sunlight was hitting the bird, and then I felt the sunlight on my cheek, and I stopped trying to figure it all out, and I was just like, wow, that's beautiful, and the sun felt really good, and I realized, I was like, oh, I'm really grateful. And it was such a difference. It was like I hadn't had to like justify why or list all the things in my life. I was so grateful being in that moment because it felt good.
Yeah.
And the difference was I wasn't thinking about it. I was just in my body. I was just experiencing that I was present. And again, all of this stuff none of it's new. This is what people have been anyone with any sort of wisdom has been saying since the dawn of humanity. It's about presence, about being here now. It's about love. And that then led to looking at somatic stuff. And I had my first sort of somatic breathwork experience. And that was such a profound thing because it took me to that same place.
Oh, really?
It just brought me back to that sense of openness and beyond the mind of just the experience of being in that state of love, of being in that state of surrender, of being in that state of like everything is good.
Yeah.
Like there is nothing more I need. It's all within me right now.
Right.
Now I can go out and figure out my life. And then obviously you come out of that state and you still have your problems and things are still there, but you're approaching them from a much different place.
Right.
And so I started looking into breathwork. And at the time I really believed that I needed to be a big like startup founder and build a big business and with lots of people and logistics and so everyone would think I was very smart and important and I knew what I was doing and I started working with breathwork, and it took me a second to sort of realize this is what I wanted to do.
Oh yeah.
Because it was like I don't want to be a breathwork teacher. Like that's.
Did you have ego around that?
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think less. It is ego, but less like what people are going to say about me. More of like this isn't going to prove anything. I suppose it is ego. Yeah, it was more just like, I can't build a huge business out of this. Like, but how am I going to be a billionaire if I was a breathwork teacher? Like all that story.
Yeah.
But then I just started working with people and I was using it so much myself. And I was like, and I realized pretty quickly that like, I would do this for free. Like I was working with people and that experience that I wanted, that beautiful house in the sunlight with the partner and the dogs running around, I had that when I was sitting there working with someone. And I think I just moved so much out of my head into my body, into my heart, that I was just, had these such beautiful moments of watching other people have these like epiphanies, other people have these breakthroughs and letting go. And there was nothing else I needed.
Right.
I was like, I could just do this for free,
right,
and I would be happy.
Right.
Obviously, as we know, like when you operate from that state, the world opens up to you. So pretty quickly things started happening, and it does become something big. That's the irony, is the things you when you don't need it, it actually comes to you.
Right.
But yeah, so I led to breathwork, and I started doing more and more breathwork with people and working with clients and doing big groups. So I do large group breathwork, which is amazing because you have this huge energy.
Yeah.
And the breathwork I do, I work with breath in a number of ways, but really the big one I do is somatic breathwork. It's kind of conscious connected breathing, where it's very active, constant breathing. So you're hyperventilating for like an extended period of time.
Okay.
And what that does is it puts you in this very trance-like state. So it shifts the oxygen carbon dioxide balance. It ramps up your sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight side of the body.
Okay.
So it can be very intense. Yeah, It can feel very overwhelming. But what it does, it slows down the mind, puts you in a similar brainwave state to psychedelics, to psilocybin. So you're in this very open, expansive state. It shuts down the critical thinking part of the brain, or slows it down, so that prefrontal cortex, which is always in control, kind of gets pushed aside a little bit. So you're much more in this much more open state.
Okay.
And it's pushing into the body, into the places where we hold all our emotion, where we hold all our trauma, where we hold all the stuckness, because the body holds everything. And humans are the one animal that doesn't release stuff in the body in real time. So you look at animals in the wild, they all have some sort of mechanism. When they get into a fight, when they hunted and they manage to escape, they will go into a sort of shaking reflex, or they will physically let go of they'll let go of the physical sensation.
Okay.
We don't do that. We push it down. And then we also associate it with stories. So something happens to us, someone attacks us, holds us down. The reflex is to want to escape. Every fiber in your body just is, I need to get out of here. Then we manage to escape, or whatever happens. But that feeling of needing to escape is in there. And then it gets tied up with, I'm weak. I'm not good enough. I'm always in danger, whatever the story might be. And so now we have emotions tied up with stories, tied up with kind of what's going on in the body, and that all gets held down. And that's where you get things like PTSD. Our body's trying to complete this loop of all the sort of stuff that happened in the moment. So we're literally reliving that experience. And then that experience brings up the emotions and the stories about who we are and what the world looks like to us. And that's where we get all these kind of mental health problems and neuroses. And I mean, obviously I'm simplifying hugely. There's a lot of other stuff going on there. But
no, it's so interesting.
What the breath work I do, and there's other somatic work that does this, it allows that, it really pushes into that part of the body and forces it to the surface.
I was going to say, so you're like with somatic breath work, you're kind of digging into those parts where we're really stuffing things down and helping like the body release it out.
Yeah, it's almost the way I described you're sort of like revving, like you're redlining a little bit. So it can be very intense, but it's also, because it's so tightly held, you need to push into that. And then at the same time, you're removing the kind of lid on the pot. So like it's sort of all the stuff is boiling there. You're maybe increasing the heat a bit, but you've also got the mind, which holds that all down. You're like, you need to sharpen the world a certain way. I can't let go of my emotions. I need to always be in control. All this sort of stuff subconsciously is keeping that all down. And so that alone is a huge thing of just moving that out of the way, of that kind of lid on the pot that's keeping all that down. Allowing that to open up. So now you've got the body expressing, and it now triggers all the emotions. So you can go through this. I have people go through profound things in breathwork sessions, like childhood memories. Like I've had clients who remembered childhood abuse that they never knew about.
Wow.
Because suddenly the body's incredibly intelligent, and it holds this stuff, and these memories kind of we push them aside sometimes to the point where often people don't remember them at all. So it can be, it's sort of two things. It's one, the body physically lets go of the stuff, and the other is you're allowing it to express and kind of you deal with it in real time. But the breathwork I do, the longer I've done it now, I think the two benefits are that somatic side. You're physically clearing stuff. It's almost like massaging out a knot. You're kind of getting rid of the stuff that's held in there, which is incredibly healing on its own. But the second part of it, and this is where I often work with very A-type people who you couldn't get to sit and meditate. So with breathwork, it's a very active practice, right? You just have to keep breathing in the style and something will happen because you're changing mechanics in the body. It puts you in this beautiful state. And I think that is almost, for me, the more powerful thing. So you'll have these physical releases. You might go into like shaking, you might cry, everyone goes into some sort of emotion. But really, for most people, it's this state of just the mind is calmed down and there's this sense of expansiveness and compassion and love that you feel, that suddenly the world looks different. And you know, if you've never experienced that, you now know that's available. So it's almost like my work is really spiritual work, but the Trojan horse is performance, right? Because you kind of shape it up into something that someone who wouldn't touch anything too woo-woo. And when you put them through a breathwork experience, you're like, here's the thing you do. You get to do it. Your A-type thing can do it, and you sit and you breathe. And suddenly, an hour later, they're lying there crying, and they feel so much beauty and love and compassion. And like that opens the door. That now, okay, I'm part of something greater. There's something more going on beyond kind of all the worries I had and all the stories I have. And then that can often be the doorway for people to then start, you can kind of now open them up to maybe a different sense of what's possible.
I was going to ask that because I assume, with performance, like just the title of like performance coaching, you're attracting, and like you're a dude, which I'm sure is helpful for a lot of male clientele out there who they can kind of relate with you a little bit. And it is because I find, at least in my community, so many men are, and women, but like I find it a lot with the men, that they're very resistant to this like quote unquote woo-woo work, right? It's like if you lead with the spiritual side and like you're gonna dig in and have all this compassion and love, they're like, that's not for me. They get there, like, but it's like you almost have to guide them through the doorway of like, let's work on performance, let's do breath work, rather than even just like sitting in meditation. Because I mean, even for myself, it's very difficult for me to just sit in silent meditation. I really prefer meditation that incorporates a breath work element. I find myself able to get a lot more out of it for that reason.
It is. I work with, I think this is, again, hugely generalized. I think a lot of the men that come to me probably come as a result of a situation, or something's happened, or they're in a particularly difficult situation, whereas women are more likely to come without anything necessarily kind of acute. They're more open to, I want to do the work, or I want to, and they're more open to the ideas. The flip side of that is I have a lot of women that come to me who are sort of very well versed in meditation, and they know it all to a degree of like they know all the theories and the spiritual stuff. But there's a massive difference between knowing it and actually truly feeling what that is. And sometimes knowing too much can actually be counterproductive because you don't allow yourself to go there because your ego is going, well, I know all this. Interesting. I mean, the longer I've done this, I think the truth of what I do is very simple. Because the truth is very simple. That you are an incredibly beautiful, glowing human being or being whose very essence is love. Everyone just wants to feel love, and everyone does feel love. I don't think there's no such thing as an evil human being. I think people do evil things, but it's always a result of dysfunctional thinking. It's some sort of identity or worldview or story in the mind that is making them behave in a certain way. But if you really, and this is hard because I get a lot of pushback when I say this to people, if you really look at what people are looking for, even in evil acts, it's some sense of power, which is ultimately a sense of control, which is a sense of love. They're looking for that same thing. It's all we are looking for. My sort of thesis is that as human beings, we are our two base drivers of fear and lack. every human being on some level has the sense of fear. We're a little bit afraid. We're going to die. Things are just going to stop at some stage. We kind of don't want to think about that too much. And there's a sense of lack. Like we just want to belong, but we don't quite. There's something, I'm capable of more. There's something like I can't quite be comfortable in this moment. I need to add some more. Which if you think what drives the world we live in, like kind of the capitalist consumer model is very like marketing, that's all it plays into. You could belong more. You could be more loved. I mean, that's ultimately what it is. Get this and everyone will think you're great, which is what it's saying. You could be part of the gang more. Like,
yeah. It reminds me, like, I'm just thinking, I was talking yesterday with a friend in New York, and it's like everything right now is a members club in New York.
In New York, yeah,
right?
It does feel that way.
And it's
or running
trickling.
club. Yeah.
And it's trickling down here into all the other cities as well, but it does it in New York and LA. It's like, if you're anyone who's anyone, it's like you're part of these like members only clubs that you have to be invited to, and they're vetting you.
Everyone just wants to belong.
Yeah.
The lie is that we don't belong.
Yeah.
That's the bit we miss.
Right.
Because if you're searching for that moment, for that perfect situation, you'll never get it. And that is what we do. That's why everyone's a little bit kind of unhappy.
Yeah.
And we're a little bit depressed because we get it in moments, right? Like you meet the perfect partner and you have that little butterflies in the stomach and everything's great and the world is rosy.
Right.
But then like you're still there and all the stories are still there, and then they change a little, they aren't quite, and their breath isn't great in the morning, and like suddenly it isn't quite, you're like, maybe I need another partner.
Yeah.
Or like, maybe I have to compromise on this one. And the thing we're missing is we're looking for someone to fill a void.
Right.
But the void doesn't exist. That's the lie. The lie is that there is a void. So you will never find something to fill a hole that isn't there.
Yeah.
The healing, the thing, the breakthrough for everyone is realizing that what you're looking for in everything you do in the world is available with one surrendered breath.
It's incredible.
Close your eyes, take one breath, and just for a fraction of a second, obviously the mind is quite powerful, but for a fraction of a second, when you relax your shoulders, you don't need anything in that moment. You're there. Now the game is, how do you expand that into the rest of your life?
Right.
And it's a process of dissolution. You're not looking to get somewhere. You're looking to dissolve all the stories that are between you and that.
Okay.
And
so when you're coaching with people, it's obviously, so starting with breath work, I'm sure you're getting a lot of emotional release and kind of these like breakthroughs. And then it's like after that kind of like, it's almost a honeymoon period of its own, right? Of like
the breath work.
Yeah, the breath work. Like I feel like
I don't always start. In fact, I often don't start with breath work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll generally the sort of standard process I take people through is almost mind first. It's the understanding.
Okay.
And the reason is getting the self-examination, the mental stuff kind of landed. When then you get it into the body, you understand what it is. Mm-hmm. Now you have a framework because a lot of people, we're an intellectual bunch of people. We all live in our heads so much, more and more and more, especially now with phones and entertainment. Like we're always in our heads.
Right.
That we never have a moment where we're actually present. The space is always filled.
Right.
So getting people to understand what's possible and why you aren't there. Now, for a lot of people, it doesn't change their experience. They're like, I get that, but I still feel this way. When you then do something like breath work or you get them into their body, then they understand, this is what I'm tapping into. Okay, that framework, and this is now a felt experience.
Right, it's like the logic and then the feeling almost.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you think about breath? Like I've experienced, for example, going through like traumatic time. One of my family members was like really going through something, and when I found out they were safe, I felt myself take a deep breath for the first time in weeks. Mm. Do you find that was honestly the first time I was probably 22. That was honestly the first time I was ever really aware of my breath in that way and how much it just my regular in and out breathing throughout the day is affected by what's happening internally in my mind. Do you find a lot of people are living in this almost like fight or flight state and breathing very shallow? Everyone.
Yeah, I think everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, our breath is so associated with our emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And it works both ways, right? Like our emotional state will affect our breath, but also how we breathe feeds back into our emotional state.
Okay.
So if you are breathing very shallow, that will make you more upregulated and anxious.
Right.
Like your nervous system is very affected by the breath.
Right.
So, I mean, a huge thing I work with people on is just conscious breathing during the day. Like actually, for a lot of people, just breathing better, that alone is life-changing. Because you think you're very anxious, but actually just try and change your breath. You'll have such release. Again, so much of what we think is our state is actually just the way we're using our body. We're holding tension. We're always uptight. And we're very upregulated. One of my favorite exercises is just allowing your body to breathe. What we do is we override it so much.
Okay.
So our body, if we get out the way, our body is incredibly good at breathing well, at regulating what it needs to.
Okay.
And breath is really it's keeping the carbon dioxide and oxygen balance correct in your body. You need both of them in sync for it to be kind of optimal. And so you breathe according to how much you need to let out and how much you need to bring in.
Mm-hmm.
We override that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of anxious and I'm breathing up here, we're a lot of us don't even complete a full breath. We cut it off. And one of my favorite, I mean, you can try this now to see how it feels, it's what I call a triangle breath. So you just you kind of very gently through your nose, very gently. So the idea is almost like if you had a feather underneath your nose, the feather doesn't move.
Oh, okay.
So it's very soft. Very slow breath in. Let it go. And then just pause at the bottom and wait for your body to take the next breath. You're not holding it. It might be a second. It doesn't matter how long. It's just that you aren't overriding it. Because the natural breath is an in, it's an out, and there's a pause.
Oh, okay.
And so if you allow your body to take that pause, it'll take a breath when it needs to. Now it's going to be a little weird at first because you're thinking about it. So you're almost naturally, there's a tendency to like controlling it. But if you start playing with this, what you'll find is just gentle in, gentle out, wait for that pause. And as you breathe out, consciously just relax your body. Just like sink down. And when you get to the bottom of the breath, just continue that feeling of sinking. So like the breath has stopped and you're paused, but also just continue the sinking into your body. So you're just relaxing more. And then you just wait and you take the next breath, very gentle. And if you play with that, what you'll find is you'll shift your state pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like you probably find already you feel a little calmer.
Yeah, I do.
And that is something you can do throughout the day. Just breathe better.
Yeah.
Allow your body to breathe.
Okay.
And then once in a while, just a good...
Yeah.
Just being aware of your breath is such a huge one. And that can be
is.
such a big thing just to... So it's very simple. And the breath, it's my favorite thing because it's always available. You can be
100%.
anywhere. And it becomes this... You can really shift your state. Like I find sitting on airplanes now when I'm sitting... Like sometimes I'll just play with my breath and you can get yourself into like really amazing euphoric states by just sort of playing with it. And like it's a very enjoyable experience. Like the breath is such a tangible thing when you play with it.
Yeah. I use box breathing. I was so excited to talk to you today because breathwork has been like on the top of my list of like I know I would benefit a lot from diving into it more.
Yeah.
And I kind of just like have needed a push. But it's one of those tools that whenever I use it, I'm like, oh my God, I need to do that more.
It's the same with all this stuff.
Simple box breaths, And
the reason we don't is we have this telling us all this other stuff. But yeah, we don't have time for that. We've got to achieve all these things so that we can get back to that state that actually one breath will take you to. I mean, that's the thing.
It's so true. It's so, so true. Do you think there are any like misconceptions about breathwork?
That's a good question. I suppose breathwork is such a huge range. It's almost like saying exercise or fitness. So the somatic stuff I do, you have kind of the trauma release somatic side of it. And then you've got the kind of high performance stuff where it's very much teaching athletes to breathe in competition and things like that. So there's such a range of stuff. I don't think it's misconception. I think people underestimate what they're able to do with their breath, of just how much they can shift things, of just breathing without addressing any of the sort of mental health stuff or the stories. Like a lot of it can be shifted just from breathing better sometimes.
Right.
Not to diminish what people go through, but we're almost like addressing the high level stuff without just getting the body stuff sorted. Like there is so much. Really, what I do at the heart of everything I do is getting people to feel safe.
Right.
Because that feeling of safety allows you to surrender to where you're at. And the only reason we are out of this moment for all of us is that sense of fear. It's like we don't feel safe in some sense. And feeling safe in your body can be quite low-hanging fruit for a lot of people. Because we keep ourselves so tense, we keep ourselves so stimulated, and then we throw coffee, we don't sleep well. And so actually just getting back into like a healthy body, a lot of people, that will shift the needle a lot before you even address all the other stuff, the mindset. So it's probably not as much a misconception, just an underestimation. But breathwork's growing quite rapidly, and there's a reason it's becoming kind of more and more popular, I think. It works. It really, really works.
No, it really does. How do you think, I mentioned earlier that I like to do meditations that incorporate breath work. Do you think breath work can replace meditation? Do you utilize both?
Yeah, no, I utilize both. I think breathwork is a great accompanies meditation really well. Again, people who find it hard to meditate, often doing a short breath. I get a lot of people do a short breathwork that lead into a meditation because it can just slow things down and ground you, and then it's much easier to sit through it. But I think meditation is the most powerful thing anyone can do, in my opinion.
Really?
It's just, it doesn't give you that same kick. You get the danger with breathwork, I suppose, and maybe this is part of the misconceptions. Is you get a high off it, right? Especially the active style of breathing, the sort of really aggressive stuff, the big somatic sessions, because you're slowing down oxygen in the brain. You're getting quite high off it.
Right.
That's a misconception, actually. There's this thing on getting high on your own supply where people think you're over oxygenating. It's actually the opposite. You're getting less oxygen. You're shutting down oxygen to the body.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it's actually the opposite.
It's not more, it's less.
Yeah, it's less.
Okay.
It's less. I think with breathwork you can chase the high. You get that like nice high. So people start chasing that and thinking which is great. It can all be good, and there's some really proven benefits to the brain and things like that of sort of breath holds and things like that. It's just ultimately with meditation, the place you want to be is a place of stillness and peace.
Right.
And meditation doesn't give you that same kick.
Right.
And for someone who craves the kick, actually what they often need is to learn to be still.
To just be.
Yeah. So breathworks are nice. There's nothing bad about it. It's just maybe it's getting in the way of actually allowing yourself to be still, which is really over time, that's where if you can be at peace on your own, then you're very powerful. That's where your performance comes from. That's where you can walk into something and be absolutely at peace and not be attached to the outcome, not be striving, not be worried, not be thinking about all the stories. If I fail in this, my whole life's going to crumble and no one will ever love me, and like all of that stuff, or thinking about the past. That's where you're going to perform at your best, which is why I ultimately go back to calling what I do performance coaching, because they're the same thing of being incredibly at peace and happy and living a life you want to live, and performing at your very best. They are the same thing. It's just in a world where we've been taught that you need to try harder, grip tighter, that idea of like surrendering leading to high performance can be a bit of a mindset shift for some people.
Yeah, I love that. If you could design a perfect morning routine for Healthspan, what kind of breathing practice would it include? I
mean, I have a breathing practice I do every morning that I give everyone. Yeah, I call it 50 breaths. It's just 50 breaths. It takes a few minutes. Okay. Don't know if it's the perfect for health necessarily, but it is a really good one, and it's a really good one to go into meditation with as well. Okay. And what it is it's 10 active breaths. Okay. So very intense. You're breathing into the belly. You're breathing into the chest. There's no pauses. Okay. The breath's flowing the whole time. Just 10 breaths like that. You do a breath hold at the end of it. Okay. Then you do 15 breaths like that. So it's 25. You do a breath hold. and then 25 breath hold. So it's 10 breath hold, 15 breath hold, 25 breath hold. So it's just 50 breaths. It takes a few minutes and it'll completely shift your state. It's really grounding.
Wow.
It's a really good one. Yeah.
So you do that every morning?
I do that most mornings, yeah. I do it throughout the day sometimes as well. It's a good, like, if you're ever feeling like you're procrastinating or like kind of like trying to get something done or the monkey mind's coming in, it just grounds everything.
Ooh,
it's
okay.
A really good
I'm
one.
definitely going to try that.
Yeah.
What about for that like afternoon slump feeling?
I mean, I use the same style of breathing. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of different practices. Ultimately, there's really only two broad ways of breathing. The one is a very active inhale and a shorter exhale, which upregulates you. So it increases the heart rate. It sort of stimulates the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight side. And then the other one is extended exhales. So something like box breathing's doing that. It's obviously equal inhales and exhales. But what you're doing is, say, 4 seconds in, 8 seconds out. So you're doubling the exhale from the inhale. So anything with a longer, this is a rule of thumb, anything with a longer exhale is going to slow everything down.
Okay.
Heart rate slows, nervous system goes into parasympathetic, you're calming everything. So anything that a lot of the stuff for sort of midday slump is in that upregulation side. It's in that kind of very active short exhales. So
got it.
Even just breathing in for 6, breathing out for 3, and doing something like that, where you're doing it the opposite way around, you'll find you'll become quite lightheaded because it's shifting the balance, but it'll be very grounding.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to calm, you want that exhale to be longer, and if you're looking for energy, you're looking for short exhales.
Yeah. And then there's other, obviously there's a lot of practices with this. Humming is a really good one for calming breathwork. Vu breath, or obviously a very popular chant, but so big inhale, and then something like vu, you're really extending the exhale. So as long as you can hold it, and you're getting this vibration, which is quite good for the vagus nerve, which is good to kind of get your parasympathetic, to get the calming side of the nervous system activated.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay.
And it really, it works.
Yeah.
It works really well. Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, before we wrap up, I wanted to do a quick rapid fire round with you. Morning or night breath work? I
probably do more morning on average, but I do both. I think it's exactly what we just discussed.
Right.
The more upregulating stuff in the morning, and then at night, longer, slower breath work.
Right.
Yeah.
Box breathing or ice bath? Are you a fan of like cold plunging and...
Yeah, I grew up in Cape Town.
Right.
And our ocean is
freezing.
Ice water, yeah. Okay. So I kind of miss there's something quite comforting about cold water.
Oh, yeah?
I think both at the same time. I mean, so much of being in cold water is breathing.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I feel like Wim Hof actually was like one of the
Yeah, he really brought
he was
stuff
good for
into
the breathwork community, right?
Yeah, he's definitely brought it to the kind of forefront.
Yeah. How would you describe your breath in one word?
How would I describe my, hopefully fresh.
That's a good one. What's the weirdest place you've ever led a session?
Good question. I mean, I wouldn't say I lead them in too many weird places. Generally, it's pretty well. The type of sessions I lead, people are eye masked and lying down, and you need to be quite sort of comfortable and safe.
Okay. Do you do a lot in New York?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, every once in a while I do an outdoors, something on the beach or something like that.
Cool.
But the truth is, for a lot of my stuff, it's about people getting into a really internal space. Right. So anything outside, you can get kind of distracted. So generally, they're pretty well-controlled environments.
Right. Okay. Who is your favorite teacher or influence on your work?
Ram Dass.
Okay.
Huge influence on my life, yeah. Like
awesome.
I would say life-changing. When I found him, he just put words to what I was experiencing, all these things. I was like starting to see the world in a very different way, and I found his work, and it was like, oh, he's describing my experience.
Oh, okay.
And so it was huge. And then
does he have books, or is the YouTube videos?
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, he died a few years back.
Okay.
But a lot of books and a lot of
content out there.
A lot of content. They're putting out. There's a podcast now where they have all these old speeches. I mean, he was started in the 60s. So
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to look him up. When do you feel most alive?
When do I feel most alive? This is going to be a cop-out answer, but I genuinely feel like that most of the time now.
Yeah.
And it's such, the reason I can say that with such confidence is because I can contrast it to what I used to be like.
Okay.
Of how not present I was.
Mm-hmm.
And I find I'm just very present in my life
Mm-hmm.
these days in a way I never was in the past.
Yeah.
So my goal is to try and feel alive all the time.
All the time.
And yeah, look, it doesn't always happen. I still live life and I still
Right.
have all the ambitions and everything's still there, but I'm very content and yeah, very alive, I suppose.
You can feel that in your presence. Like
Yeah.
you can feel how present you are. So I don't think it's a cop-out answer.
Thank you.
You could tell you've done the work. What's one thing you wish everyone knew about their own body?
How much more intelligent it is. And I think how much what you're looking for in the world is available in a body you feel safe in.
Okay.
Whether that's just getting healthier or whether that's breathing better or like just taking care of your body and feeling good in it gives you safety. It gives you this sense of peace. It's
Right.
not just about health and living longer. It's about actually you feel fundamentally different. Your experience of the world is different.
Yeah.
And I think we underestimate that.
I love that. If you could get every person on earth to change one habit tomorrow, what would it be?
One habit. I mean, I don't know if it's a habit. I think if I could get everyone on earth to realize something, I think the habit would probably be meditation.
Okay.
Breathwork is obviously closely aligned
Related,
there.
right.
But meditation. But I think if I get everyone to realize something, it's to realize that everything they're looking for, they already have. It's right there.
Okay.
And to truly, if you have that experience, which is what breathwork often gives people, of what I'm looking for, what I'm searching for, I can experience it just through breathing a little bit differently or through sitting quietly. When you realize that, it shifts how you approach what you do in the world. Because you don't, that sense of so much of the suffering and so much of the stuckness and so much of kind of the angst in the world is because people think they are broken or
Right.
they are limited and that they need to get somewhere and that they might never get there, that I might never find happiness, as if it's out there. And if you can realize it's not out there, it's quite literally the essence of who you are. Your default state is one of absolute bliss and joy. And the only thing standing in the way is a bunch of stories that you are very, very tightly attached to. And if it doesn't make the stories go away, but if you realize that, it changes what you think is possible.
Wow. It was a mic drop moment to end this podcast.
I mean, I put it back on you. Like, how do you mentioned you sort of have trouble meditating, and like, what do you feel you're sort of working on, or where do you feel like you get particularly stuck? Or
I mean, I feel like so much of what you've been describing for the last hour is me. Like, this is a very, like, this whole time I've been kind of like, wow, okay, universe, I get it. I need to like tap back in because I'll definitely go through kind of waves and phases where, and like you said, it's usually going through or after a stressful period, I'm like, okay, I have to really pay attention to and be intentional about a meditation and a breathwork practice and a mindfulness and spirituality practice. And then I kind of fall off with it and things are going well. And it's like, oh, I kind of just like my routines evolve and I get out of the practice with it. And then something else happens and I feel like it's just like I don't have the tools, but I do, you know? So it's very inspiring to me, and I've been thinking this whole time, and it doesn't need to be. I've definitely been someone in the past who is a culprit of having like a 3-hour morning routine, and of course it doesn't last forever. It doesn't need to be that. I love the 50 breaths. I love, I do a 5-minute journal in the morning. Usually takes me 15 minutes, but whatever, it doesn't need to be this huge thing, but to do a breathwork practice that takes 3 minutes and then a 10-minute meditation following that would go a really long way for me right now.
And why do you feel like it does drop off? Or let me make that easier. Why do you feel like you need it in the first place?
To help control my stress in the way that I feel it affects my body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
and then,
you're obviously very ambitious.
yes.
Probably quite a lot of self-pressure.
Yes.
Probably
Very
quite high
much so.
standards.
Very.
And that kind of leads to a little bit of anxiety at times.
Like I said, I am that person who, I think my friends like describe me as somebody who's just like always calm, like I'm never like freaking out or.
Well, I think what I get also is you're very good at the appearance of it.
Yes,
You're
and I'm very
good
I'm very good at attuning to other people's mood and needs and states.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's something I've even been like coached on with the podcast is like, it's your podcast. You have to set the tone. Like they're on your show. You're not on their show. And it's interesting for me because it's made me really reflect and realize how much if I'm with this person and they're acting this way, I'm going to attune to that. And if they're like, if I'm with someone who needs me or wants me to lead and be the bigger personality and be that funny person or whatever, like I'm that person.
Yeah.
But it's being more intentional for myself as to like who I want to be and how I want to represent myself.
Yeah.
And yes, maybe not just like, it's not like putting on a show, but it's an appearance or people have this perception that I'm like super calm and chill all the time, but underneath I'm like panicking, you know?
Yeah.
Not panicking, but I'm anxious. I have anxiety and I wake up in the morning thinking about all the things I want to do and achieve. And like you saying, we all have this vision of we're all sitting in this mansion with the kids and the dog and the sunlight and all the things.
Yeah.
Like that really hits home for me because it is. I feel like I'm like, you're paddling for all that stuff every day.
The vision is amazing. Like you want the vision. This is something that often people I meet resistance with because it doesn't quite land for them at first. There's this idea of surrender. Everything I teach is really about surrendering to where you're at. It's about getting beyond kind of the stories that are keeping you out of this moment because this moment's where all the juice is. And this idea around surrender is, well, I don't want to fucking sit in a cave and meditate all day. Like I want to do things and I want to live a great life and I want to build a big business and I want the house and the dog and the kids.
Right. What
people don't realize is you've been in love, I'm assuming. You're married?
I'm married.
I'm guessing you love him, or at least at some stage
you
felt
yeah.
So you know what it feels like to be in love. Like, and I'm talking that kind of early stage, butterflies in the stomach, the world is perfect.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Oh, yes.
Did you want to sit on the couch and stare at the wall?
No.
And do nothing?
No.
No. But also, did you need anything to be different?
I mean, during that phase?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, right? It's great.
Everything's perfect.
Everything's perfect, but at the same time, you're deep. You want to travel and do things and go out and build things. Like you're at your most vibrant.
Yes.
But the difference is you're at the most vibrant without all the stories attached to it, without the need for an outcome.
Right.
Like you're in a truly creative mode.
Right.
You're in a mode of you are absolutely at peace with where you're at. But when you're at peace with where you're at, you have what I call God momentum. You have life force flowing through you. It's not this limited me, I need to grind where all the burnout comes from. Because that's just like this body that I inhabit is pretty limited in its energy compared to all of this.
Right.
And when you're in that state of love, when you're in love, you're at your most energized and your most creative. And so surrender allows you to get back to that state. And what I try to get people to realize is that state is available all the time. It is, in fact, what happened to you in that moment and happens to all of us. Like we have brief flashes of it when maybe you pet a puppy or you see a baby or like you're just in this, there's love there. You're connected to something deeper. That that isn't an exceptional moment. We frame that as like, oh, but I met the person, that doesn't last forever. That is your true state. The difference is you felt safe enough in that space because you were connected to something bigger where you were able to surrender all the need to be somewhere else.
Right.
You don't actually want to build the biggest business.
Right.
You don't actually want the mansion or the money or any of it. None of us do. You want the experience you think that'll give you.
Right.
The freedom, the love, the joy,
which
all comes down in my simplified framework to love. It's just love. It's that excitement. It's that feeling of just, wow.
Right.
And if you realize that, then you can just come back to love. And then the process becomes, what in this moment is blocking me from feeling that?
Right.
Which is almost always a set of stories that are making you think you need to be somewhere else.
Right.
And the danger is, which is great, you want to create the biggest thing possible. The danger is if you think there is a moment in time where everything's going to calm down and the sky's going to open up and the light's going to come down and the angels will sing and it's all, you're never going to get there.
Right.
Because if you were going to get there, you would have got there when you got like a red bicycle when you were 5 years old, because it's all you wanted for Christmas. And
well, it's the thing that all, especially entrepreneurs and founders and people are after. It's like, I talk about it all the time. It's like we set these goals and then it's like you almost barely acknowledge when you achieve them because you're just on to the next. Because
you're always focused, because you're not looking for the achievement of that, you're looking for the affirmation and the proving yourself. And I would imagine, I mean, this is huge, obviously we haven't dived into this too much, but you come from probably like you probably got quite a lot of affirmation for performance as a kid. I would imagine there was quite a lot of like, you probably did quite well at school.
Yes.
And
at sports, sports. All the things. And then when those things fall apart.
Yeah. So like, you were raised in an environment, I would guess, with quite a lot of pressure from your parents. I mean, always loving, it comes from a loving place. It doesn't mean it's inherently bad, but still it creates a framework in where you felt safe.
Yes.
Your story as a child was, I'm not enough.
Yes.
Which is, we all get it, right? This is being human. There's no judgment or anything. This is what it means to be human. We come into the world with a certain set of,
yes.
And then our parents create a framework. And obviously they're hugely instrumental, but really the environment we're in creates this framework where we build what we think the world needs to be. And that story for all of us creates an identity which we live in.
Right.
And that identity is based in insufficiency. Your very essence, your true place when you meditate, when you take a deep breath, when you meet your husband for the first time, maybe now, it's not every day that you feel like that, but like those moments where you just look at him and you feel everything's perfect.
Right.
That is just you surrendering back to who you are. You're surrendering back to this connection, to this infinite complexity that we're part of. Who knows?
Right.
But the story that's been built over time is, I'm not good enough. As a child, at some point you realize that you got a little bit more attention, or you got like an extra gold star, or you got whatever, or your sibling maybe was you're competitive with. Like we all have some version of this, particularly high performers. And you realize that, what does that mean? It doesn't mean like, oh, I should try my best. And it means if I don't try my best, I'm not enough.
Mm-hmm.
So you immediately built the sense of insufficiency that now you spend the rest of your life, that becomes wired into the subconscious. You spend the rest of your life trying to compensate for that, because all we want is to belong. We want to feel love, and we were taught the way to belong and to feel love is to be the best.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're building a business. You don't want to build the business. You need the gap. That tension is where you feel safe. Even though it's not necessarily comfortable, you're anxious, there's that sense. Because you navigated that as a child, of how to literally physically be safe. And in a sort of child's brain, like the story there is, well, if I'm not the best, I'm going to get left on the side of the road and my parents are going to drive away. That's sort of like somewhere in the subconscious, that's what we're understanding, especially if it starts young enough. So in your sort of wiring in your nervous system, in your subconscious, really the story is, you don't want to achieve the thing you want to achieve. You need to always have the tension where you're able to strive to be the best, because that's where you got the affirmation. That's where the safety is. And that's what all A-type high achievers have, is that, as you said, sort of founders are never happy. They always need the new thing, because there always needs to be a gap.
Right.
The danger is you're always going to live in the gap.
Right.
You will never get there. I would say if you could achieve it, if you built the thing and you got to the moment, then okay, like sacrifice the suffering and you get it one day. It's just that you won't get it. Right. You'll get to the house and you'll get to the big sort of exit and you'll have all the money in the bank and you'll be sitting there, and for a moment you'll be like, champagne, we did it.
Right.
And then you'll still, I physically, subconsciously don't feel safe because there's no way to be the best. I'm not striving anymore.
Right.
So that's where you start realizing, okay, now I've got to look at what that structure is of my identity, which in your case obviously is so common.
Right.
makes you obviously an amazing person, incredibly successful, good at the external world. It's just what I try to reframe for clients I work with, and that is actually you could be achieving so much more without the attachment. Like it could, if this is what you're doing with quite tense,
Right.
if you surrendered and allowed some more kind of space there, like you'd be a fucking rocket ship. Like the things you could do that you can't comprehend now.
Right.
And so that's where it gets really interesting, of like constantly coming back to questioning those stories.
Yeah.
Of, is it true that you need to perform to belong?
Yeah.
Is it true that you need to build the biggest thing in the world or to prove anything to anyone? Is it true that you don't just belong as a human being, as a soul, as a person that is part of this whole collective, and is it true that you're not safe? Because that's really what we're looking for, is on some level we don't feel safe.
Right.
And we're trying to kind of desperately manipulate ourselves and manipulate the world around us so that we can find that version of what we think we feel safe in. And we all have it. This is it.
Right.
But the gift, and this is where the gift where the breakdown happens, where people actually, life falls apart, is they have to start looking at that.
Right.
Okay, I thought building the biggest business would get me there, but all it did was lead to a divorce and whatever else. And now, fuck, I'm worse than ever.
Right. It's the whole concept of like the more money, more problems. It's, you're chasing this thing and it gets a little bigger and it gets a little bigger and it's more exciting and it's more exciting.
And the danger is of the success is you can hide behind it.
Yeah.
So like it actually, that's again where the suffering can become a gift.
Yeah.
For true happiness, like it's just too comfortable when you're getting success. If it's just you keep kind of feeding that beast and you sort of know I'm still anxious and things aren't quite right, but tomorrow it's still going well and like I should be happy. That's another common one here. Like, but I've got everything. Why can't I just be happy with it?
Right.
Because it has nothing to do with what's going on. There's no external circumstance that's going to shift it.
Right.
The flip side of that is when you do surrender, you get to really enjoy there. You get to walk into your business every day and like fucking be grateful and enjoy it and interact with people and sit with clients and whatever else. You're not thinking about the next thing. You're not sort of one part of your brain is on the to-do list while you're doing something else. You know, like you're actually in it.
Right.
And that's all life is that sense of how much can you be in what you're doing.
Present.
And love with it. Yeah.
Right. And
then that's where that feeling of butterflies in your stomach is available in like every experience. You'd be fucking arranging these flowers and just like this is a mindful practice. I think it doesn't matter what you're doing. The action becomes irrelevant because you get to sort of see the divine essence of it all and play with it from a present place because there's nowhere to go. Yeah. Because you don't need it to be different. And then you get to build and then you get to really play from a powerful place.
I love that. You should do like a... You can see how my brain works. I'm like,
how can we monetize
like
this?
App. Yeah, like you should create an app so that I have access to your affirmations every morning and kind of democratize that. But no, I think.
Yeah, I've got my first group running through an online process now. Where I've put it all into kind of lessened versions of this stuff. Yeah, so that's been really good.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely gonna. You'll be hearing from me. No, this was awesome. Thank you so much for being here today.
No, awesome. Thank you.
I learned a lot, and I think, I really needed to hear it. And usually when that's the case, it's the case for other people as well. So
yeah, I think it's also just last point on that is what you were saying is I really need to do this. I really need to do more of it. Part of it is also just having some gentleness in yourself and just kind of that is also allowing the fact that you don't do that's okay too.
Right.
So just coming at it from a place of compassion.
Now you sound like my therapist.
It's true though. I mean, if you think about the mechanics there of really that anxiety is a little girl who thought she had to strive really hard. And when you're sort of feel like you're not doing enough as an adult, really it's a little child shouting at you, hey, I have an alarm going off, which shouldn't be happening. Shouting out at the top of her lungs like we're not safe, you need to be better, otherwise you're going to be abandoned on the side of the road and die homeless under a bridge. And then what we do when we go, I really should be doing that, I should be trying harder, is we're sort of telling that kid to shut the fuck up and sit down, rather than just going like, hey, I see you, it's all good, okay, now let's make a move. But it's It's just coming at it from a gentleness rather than telling our little inner child to shut up and go away. Because all that's doing
is shoving it down.
It's also putting more pressure.
Right.
That little, and I get people to actually quite literally get a picture of them as a child and like name her something.
Right.
Like, because that's literally what you're doing. Is there's a little kid in there who's desperately for your own safety from a deeply loving place. That anxiety is a loving action.
Yeah.
It's not a sabotaging thing. It's going, hey, look at this, we're not safe, we're not safe. And so the way you want to counter that is by making that part of you feel safe, by including it, by allowing it, by going, hey, it's okay, I didn't meditate today, but we're good. Like, rather than doubling up the pressure and just making them feel more unsafe. Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's about finding that balance in it, because it's like I said, it's like you also don't want to get caught like you caught on to, like, I put this like pressure on myself to do more, and then it kind of comes back to that, like, okay, but you just really need to just be. Right. So if you're incorporating all of these practices and they're like just adding to your literal to-do list, that's not really achieving what we need either.
Well, the goal is not to become a good meditator, right?
Right.
So like ultimately the goal is to not do any of the practice.
Right.
Because the goal is to not need it.
Right.
The goal is can you be so present in where you're at that you actually don't need the meditation, the breath work. It's all a vehicle to allow you to get to a place.
Right.
And then if you are just being and you want to meditate and you can kind of enjoy it, that's a very different thing. It's just if you're doing it as a means to an end, you're kind of already missing the point. Now that's subtle because it is a very useful tool, but it's just starting to look at that of how much of this is just like I'm ticking off the practice, but I'm missing the entire point of what it is getting to a place of presence.
That is such an important point to make, because I feel like I encounter a lot of people in this industry and world, right, where it's like, I'm on a bachelorette party and someone's waking up at 5 a.m. to do an hour of breathwork and meditation, and it's like, I think that's missing the point.
And I used to be that guy, and I know so many people I work with, and I know so many people like, there's so many people in the world today are like that, particularly and we're obviously about to go to this wellness summit, like there's so much of that. But really it's the I think that one of the frameworks that was really landed for me is like the idea of healing, of so much of this sort of in the healing world. Like I need to heal, and the biohacking, and I need to do all these things. But what we don't acknowledge is that healing happens. Like we have nothing to do with it. We support our body, but our body is doing the healing. Healing happens when we get out of the way. So all of these therapies and modalities are amazing, but they're not doing anything other than allowing our body or supporting our body to do what it does. So the more pressure I put on my body and me trying to do it, the more I'm actually just putting tension on it. And it's the same with the breath work and the thing. If I'm doing it from a place of this is tense, what I need to do is get out of the way of how present can I be with it? How much can I allow my body to do what it does naturally? And actually for a lot of people, that's not doing anything. It's just relaxing. And so, I mean, this is a whole nother topic we can go into, but so much of the language around disease and healing is fighting and survival and conquer. And now we're fighting our body. It's like rather than just loving it, accepting it all and allowing it to kind of vibrate and to everything to become more vital and then allowing healing to happen.
No, I always say it's funny because like I'm super into, how, like all things wellness and trying everything and like incorporating all these practices. And my husband, who works with us, works with me, like managing these businesses, he's less into it all, right? Like he's just like, he just wants to live. He's generally one of the happiest people I've ever met. And because he's very good at just living and just like detaching when he needs to detach, to just like, no, we're not going to think about work. We're not going to think about whatever's like the stressful topic of the year or month or week, right? And just like, let's just have a beer and live. Or just like, if we're on vacation, like let's just go explore and live. And it's a good reminder. But that's what we're all after, to just be able to enjoy. Thank you so much for being here today. Where can people find you?
Thank you. I mean, Instagram's the sort of center of everything I do. So everything branches out from there.
Okay. And your Instagram's just at Vince Dickson? Okay. Awesome. Cool.
And I lead breathwork, and I have this online program now, and I do kind of one-on-one work. So it's a bunch of different stuff.
That's awesome.
But
Yeah.
it's all in that same world.
I'm definitely going to come check it out. I would love to come to a session
Yeah, for
next
sure.
time I'm in New
We'll
York
chat.
too.
Yeah, absolutely. Love
Yeah.
to have you.
Cool. All right. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
This podcast was brought to you by Pureform, a comprehensive wellness center in Boca Raton, Florida. The website is pureformhealth.com, or you can find us on Instagram at pureformhealth. Feel free to message us with any questions, and note that you can connect with our providers for consultations over Zoom, from everything from stem cell therapy to hormone replacement therapy and peptide therapy. That's it for this episode of the Healthspan Collective. We hope you found it insightful and inspiring. Don't forget to follow us wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, we'd love for you to rate, review, subscribe, and send it to a friend. We'd also love to connect with you on Instagram. Follow the podcast at Healthspan Collective and me at Nicole J. Doran. And leave us a comment on our latest post, letting us know what you'd like us to cover next.